G'day everyone, it's Aaron here from Guest Adventures, and on today's episode we're going to go through an Adventure Tech review of the ISI Extreme Duty bike rack. So if you've been following me on Instagram, you probably realised that I've found a new passion for mountain biking throughout the last sort of 3 or 4 months, which is sort of like taken up most of my weekends. And as a result, obviously I needed to look into options to be able to transport the bikes that we've purchased over that period as well. So we stumbled across the ISI Extreme Duty bike rack. Initially, it was through one of the forums. A lot of the guys that work at ISI actually own Fortunas, and it was basically the only one that was going to fit my needs. It's one of the few bike racks that are actually proven off-road. It's got an internal stability system to be able to keep it stable on the car, and it can also be moved onto the caravan's drawbar as well, so we can adventure with our bikes as well, to give us another avenue to do things whilst we're on our little tours around. The one thing that I do specifically like about this bike rack is the ease of which it is to get the bikes on and off, and I'll go through that shortly, as well as being able to access the rear of the vehicle, and I'll also show you how to do that. So to get the bikes off the bike rack, once it's in there, it's literally 2 hand tighten bolts. So loosen those, foot off, and bingo, bike is off. To go back on, it's just the reverse. They say to put about half a kilo of force down. You can preload that on that top hook, which has already happened because this is the way that I always use the bike rack. With access to the rear of the bike as well, the rear of the car as well, super easy. There's a couple of pins in the back that you can pull out, and then the whole thing slides down. So you have the safety pin, and it holds on still, and then there's a latch. Just lean into it a little bit, pop the latch up, and then the bike will come the whole way down and rest down as required. And then opposite, up again. Latch back on, pin back in. Make sure the latch is on properly. And that's access to the front, the rear of the car through that bike rack. I'll put a couple of pictures up now of how it's used with the Pop Top camper. It's on the drawbar, just sort of in front of the gas bottle, but behind the hitch. With the Pop Tops, the way it's designed is it actually spins around the other way, and when it folds, it will fold forward towards the car. So if the car was hitched up, you can't actually utilize it, but you can pull the bikes off, pop it up, slide the beds out, and it can slide over them. Or if you leave the bikes on, you fold it forward, and the bed slides over the bikes. So pros and cons of the bike rack. So as I said, the pros, the speed of which you can actually load and unload the bike is almost second to none. Like literally 2 bikes on is, a minute max. To get them off and on is just the same speed, just ordered in reverse. Whereas some of them, obviously, like with the Velcro style ones, you're there for trying to get the bikes on. Another pro with this one is the way that it sits into the mount. It sits into these cradles on rubber, so it's not going to damage the frame like a lot of the frame mount are. And then it's the hook here that holds it in. That hook's got like a rubber coating on it, which they've prototyped or whatever, which doesn't damage carbon fiber or aluminium frames alike. So it's sort of like a nice little thing for those people that want to use it for road bikes as well. My Cervelo, I hated putting it on a bike rack because I was just freaked out that, you know, my $5,000 bike is going to get damaged by a $100 bike rack. This is where the more money comes into it, the bike rack, to prevent that sort of damage. So going into that cons, it is large, right? It's a big bike rack. You got to store it somewhere in your house, so that's a pain in the butt. It's not very heavy, which is good. That's fine. But the price is probably where a lot of people probably scoff a little bit when they see how much it is. So off the top of my head, I think it was about $1,700 for the pivot post on the Caravan, as well as this entire setup. In comparison to some of the other brands that are the rear mount like this, where they're upright bikes rather than through the frame of the bike, it's actually not too bad. And then obviously this gives the sort of off-road aspect with that stabilization, as well as the clearance from the rear of the car, which I'll show you shortly as well. So looking at the rear of the car, we haven't really lost any of that departure angle because of the way that the mount is created. Another interesting feature of the rack is there is an availability to put in that sleeve there, an extension to make it a 4 bike rack rather than just the 2. You can buy the 4 off the shelf from WordGo, or you can start with the 2 and extend it as required, which is another fact that we liked. So if you're looking to purchasing one of these, the easiest way is to go through the ISI Bike Carriers website. They don't have dealerships per se throughout Australia, so they basically cut out that middleman to get the product to you quicker and cheaper. Throughout COVID and all that fun stuff, it still only took them like a week and a half, 2 weeks to get to me, and I'm in Western Australia and these guys are in the East Coast, so no complaints there. Specifically for bikes, there is a few options, and the website's quite comprehensive, but you'll likely have to give them a bell or shoot them an email with what you're actually after. So I think these ones here, I'll say these are like the generic bike frame. So if you've got kids or something like that with a smaller tire, I think 24 inches the smallest that can go into one of these bike holders. So they need to have a smaller bracket to hold the bikes. So that's where you start needing to get into your little niche market with what specifically you need for your carrier. So Rhonda and I, obviously, we ride adult bikes. All 3 of our mountain bikes are 29ers, and my road bikes are 700C, so I'm pretty sure that's the same thing in any way. So they all fit perfectly in these ones here. Weight-wise, both of our bikes are like 15 kilos, and I'm pretty sure these can, obviously, if you can put 4 bikes on the same mount, you're well within the realm of being able to load these and take them on big trips. Some of the how-to videos that the guys have set up with their tuner look amazing because they're four-wheel driving through the sand dunes with their fat bikes, and then they can ride their fat bikes through the sand dunes and stuff like that. I think the only caveat is with these trays is the width of the tire. So I've got 2.6 inch wheels on my bike. I think it's a 2.8 is where it starts getting a bit too wide. So if you have a fat bike, it's obviously another one of them issues that you're going to need a different tray to be able to put the bike into. Overall, I highly recommend this product. Like I've used it takes about 5 minutes to get on the car, then it takes about 30 seconds to get each bike on the car. The ease of which it is to get bikes in and around now is so much better than what we had. So initially we had Ronna's little IKEA Seltos, and we'd have to take bike tires off and put them in, stack them in cars and put blankets between them and everything like that. To now the only issue I have to do to load 2 bikes is I have to drop the dropper post on this bike, because Rhonda's handlebar, when her bike loads the opposite way, so rear is here and front's here, her handlebar hits my seat if it's at the extended height, but realistically it's a button away from adjusting that, so it's not an issue. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always with these reviews, it is just my view. I've used my money to purchase this, and you know, I'm not endorsed or anything like that to throw these products away over the internet. From what I have seen so far, I love this rack. It's really good, really easy, really robust. And I do understand that, yeah, it's not monetary wise, it may not be available for a lot of people for their price, but it is a good option for, you know, going to the future if you wanted to keep the same bike rack for just say 5-10 years without any wear and tear that you do get with some of those cheaper ones with the Velcro strips and stuff that deteriorate in the sun. Otherwise, once again, hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a delay between videos for me. If you don't know me personally, I haven't really come out about it very often, but in the last 6 months I tore one of the major ligaments in my wrist, so I've basically not been able to four-wheel drive or get out as much as I really wanted to, and I didn't want to risk myself or my wife or the car safety wise if I had to go through a recovery, because I wouldn't have been able to put any weight through my wrist. But I'm very close to the end of the line with regard to recovery, and hopefully in the next week or two I'll be good to go again, even though it's probably another 5 or 6 months away until I don't have to wear a brace or anything like that. But the strength is getting back there, and that's why I'm allowed to mountain bike and all that fun stuff again now. So yeah, hopefully I can shoot a video out again soon. There is videos in the works, and I know it has been a while, and I apologize for that, but yeah, I'll see you out on the tracks. Cheers guys, stay safe.